The title for this session is Writing as a Self-Translation Process. As I was telling you earlier, I'm a bilingual translator and writer, and I'm originally from Argentina, and I am based in Italy, actually. So I have been learning and speaking Italian for the last 3 years. And I think that my relationship with languages in general is rather complex. And the purpose of this session is to reflect a little bit upon how we relate with languages and what we do when we communicate. What happens when we choose one language over the other, how maybe our personalities shift when we use different languages. Okay. So what I would like to begin with today is with this sentence that says that every linguistic act is an act of self-translation. I like to think of using the language as a translation process. And we're gonna see why. Well, here is so every act of writing, or I mean, I want to talk about writing in particular, but we can take this to the broader sense of using the language. Okay, so we can say that every act of writing or every act of using the language is an act of translation. Even if you're not translators yourself, every time you're using the language, every time you're putting the language to use, you are translating your thoughts, your feelings, your memories into words. We are making the abstract tangible through language. And that is something that is complex, okay? Because the way we perceive the world is highly dictated by language itself. So it's like a two-way relationship. Language shapes the way in which we see reality, but reality itself makes itself tangible through language. When we write, when we use the language, we choose which things to show and which things to hide. And this is important because silences also communicate. When we are using language, we are creating a version of ourselves. And this is interesting when we speak several languages. In my particular case, I am a native speaker of Spanish. And as a professional translator, sorry, I have the chat open here, so I'm going to leave a few minutes at the end of the session today for comments and questions. But of course, if you want to contribute with something as I'm talking, you're absolutely welcome to do so. So as I was saying, given my professional background, I am a professional user of Spanish and English. But my particular use of these two languages differs in the way that there are certain things that I feel are harder to express in one language over the other. For instance, when I use Spanish, I find a softness or an intimacy that I feel sometimes is hard for me to reproduce in English. But when I use English, for instance, like I am doing right now, I feel like it empowers me in the way that, in the sense that I can talk with people who are not from my immediate background. I can become more professional. I find precision. I think that both sides are part of me, but they are different sides of me. And in the last years that I have been learning Italian, I have learned, I have a different approach to Italian. And I think that this is related to the fact that I do not use Italian for my job or to deliver my professional services. And I think that Italian has given me a more relaxed approach. I have learned to be a little bit more relaxed with myself, not so strict. And I have allowed myself to make mistakes, for instance, or to speak in a way that maybe is not so clear, using a language that at times sounds childish even. So it's interesting to see how we become different people when we use different languages. And at the end of the session, I would love to hear from you and tell me, what is your experience with this? How you feel that language changes you? All right. Okay. Of course, all of this that I am saying is not new. It hasn't occurred to me. This has background on different authors, different philosophers and linguists who have already studied this phenomenon. Ludwig Wittgenstein was an Austrian philosopher and linguist. And in this work that I am citing here today, his goal was to identify the relationship between language and reality and to define the limits of science. And in this quote here today, we are reading that the limits of my language are the limits of my world, which is interesting because it correlates with the idea that we use language not only to communicate, but to give shape to our culture, but it is culture that gives shape to what we think and the way we feel. That is why it is common to say that a certain language entails a certain view of the world, a certain ideology, a certain way of naming things, of naming reality. One of the major differences between English and Spanish is in its grammar, in the way in which both languages present facts. So, for instance, English uses a lot of the passive voice. And this is something that we see in the news, for instance, or when we speak to people. Facts are presented using the passive voice, which means that the focus of the information is on the object and not on the action or on the agent, on the doer of the action. If we take this into a broader sense of how we perceive reality, how we perceive facts, we can say that there is a greater focus on the outcome, okay, on what happens. In Spanish, information is not presented like this. Spanish does not have the tendency to use passive voice. Instead, we use an active voice, which means that we make an emphasis on the agent, on who does the action. And this, in the end, has as a result the fact that we are more focused on who does the action, on the actor of the actions in the information. So this may seem simple, or this may seem like a small example, but in reality, we can see that languages shape the way in which we perceive reality, in which we perceive information, how we perceive responsibility, how we perceive agency or perspective in communication. And all of this is important because when we are using the language, when we are translating what we feel, who we are translating an inner life that takes on an outer form. And all of this is given by the way in which we perceive the reality, that is, the way in which we use language to shape reality. It's important also to say that we use language. Oh, I was just reading here a comment from Nuria. Hello, thank you. Yes, she's telling that, well, she's written a piece on that too. I would love to read that. So maybe at the end of the session, we can exchange maybe our contact details and share all of this, because I am super interested in reading other people's perspectives as well. So yes, thank you. So as I was saying, this comes hand in hand with the fact that we use language because we have an intention. We have an intention when we communicate. And the intention ultimately lies in the fact that what is it that we want to communicate about ourselves, how we wish to portray ourselves to the others. That largely shapes the way in which we use language. Perfect, thank you, Nuria. Yes, I am writing down your contact details. Perfect. So yes, let's see. Let's move on to another author, this time from the literary area. She's Gloria Anzaldúa. She's a Chicano writer. Chicano writers are, the Chicano people, are people who live in the border between Mexico and the United States. And so they often feel this double culture, this double, or they feel the personalities divided by two very different cultures, two very different languages. And so here in this quote, she says, like all people, we perceive the version of reality that our culture communicates. Like others having or living in more than one culture, we get multiple, often opposing messages. The coming together of two self-consistent but habitually incomparable frames of reference causes un choque, a cultural collision. I think that her quote is amazing. And I really love the fact that she even mixes both languages, because that is who she is, right? She herself is, she inhabits both languages in a very intimate way. So I particularly like this idea that when one lives in different languages, one embodies different selves, multiple selves. And I really like the use of the word choque here, a collision, as though there is a part of oneself that has to die in order to give place to the other one. That is the way in which at least I myself experience this relationship. Okay, well, I have prepared a very short exercise for you to do today because, well, as I was saying at the beginning, the idea here is to help you do some reflection upon the relationship with language. The idea here is to, if you're speakers of multiple languages, the idea would be to use the different languages that you speak. If not, you can work with your own language, that's fine with English. And we will do a bit of a short reflection afterwards. But we're gonna take 5 minutes 5 minutes to do this. The idea is to write between 3 and 4 sentences about a personal memory. Here I included an example: a summer afternoon, my grandmother's kitchen, and the smell of oranges. And I would like you to take these sentences and rewrite them using different registers. I would like you to write one being more intimate, another one being more formal, and the third option using another language, if you speak one. And we will see what happens afterwards. I will give you two minutes to think about this. How does that sound? Hello, Harine. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, let me know when you're done. So we have a question here. Intimate meaning like more poetic. Intimate in the sense of giving the memories your personal experience. Okay, let's take the example here. So a summer afternoon. Okay, maybe we can think of what was going on, or what day it was, what was the atmosphere like. Was it the summer break? Was it a holiday or not? How would you make these memories intimate? Does that sound better? Right. Yes, it's expanding. Yes. Expanding your own, yes, your own personal experience, your to make it personal. So if you're all finished, the exercise that you just did was a translation of yourselves. You are translating you translated your own memories into language. You put your memories, you put an abstraction into words. Then you took those memories and you gave them different registers. You made them more intimate, or you made them more formal. You put them into a different language. So you did different instances of translation. Do you feel that something in these different versions of your memories changed? And if so, what do you think changed? Which of these versions would you say that is truest to yourself? Okay, we're getting a few responses here. Let's see. So yes, most of you are telling me that you prefer the more intimate. Yes, this is a great exercise for writing as well, because it gives us a good starting point to create a piece of text, to create a piece of yes. Right. Yes, this is very interesting to read you all, guys. So we have a question here. It says, does it also help in writing memoir? Well, certainly. When we are writing a memoir, yes, when we're writing from personal experiences, it is very important, first of all, to be aware of the fact that what it is that we want to communicate. Are we trying to be objective? Are we trying to tell our memories from my point of view? Are we looking to get detached from the memories? Okay, that is very important. And when we make that decision, we then can proceed to changing the language that we use. I don't know if that answered your question. All right. Good, perfect. So you see that all of these versions of your memories give different versions of yourselves. And that is exactly what happens every time that we use language. We are giving versions of ourselves to different people, depending on what we're talking about, which language we're using, what it is that we want to communicate. Are we looking to being more intimate, more friendly, closer? Are we trying to get detached and using a formal language? Are we even speaking in a language that is not our own language? That changes the scenario completely. Okay, so we have a few questions here. First from William, if you don't do this intentionally, no, it will happen unintentionally. Well, yes. I'm guessing that you're talking about veering into formal or informal language. Yes, sometimes we don't do it on purpose, or we're not making a conscious decision. It's a matter of the situation as well. And then there is a question, does our mother tongue, the language of our native, plays a role in it? I'm not sure I understand this question correctly. if I understood correctly, our mother tongue, they always play a subtle role in the way in which we use the other languages as a second language, right? There is yes, there is a certain influence in how, especially a cultural behavior, right? How we present ourselves, certain yes, it's especially related to culture and how we relate to people. Me coming from Spanish and being Latin American, I tend to be rather close to people, informal, and this sometimes can be a little bit too awkward for certain people, so I need to modulate that. Okay, we have another question. Maria, do you find yourself gravitating towards a more intimate or more formal style in your writing? Well, this question, so I write in English and in Spanish. In English, I write about translation, linguistics, languages, and I tend to be rather formal and to talk about, you know, I use English to write these sort of articles, formal articles, without giving, I mean, I do give my opinion and impressions, but they're not intimate at all. When I write in Spanish, I write poetry and I write stories, and I am far more personal and introspective and poetic. Okay, we have a message from Ariyat. Thank you so much for your lovely comments. Let's see. Maria, what language do you mostly dream in? Wow, what a question. Sometimes in Italian, and that is quite funny. I guess in Spanish most of the time. Oh, thank you. I am so glad that you enjoy this. I would like to give you my contact details. I would love to continue in conversation with you, with everyone. So feel free to contact me. I have given you, here are my details for my LinkedIn, for my Medium account, my Instagram, and my email address. Yes, it's very interesting when one writes and then when one reads the version in a different language, it is very interesting to see what is lost and what is gained when we translate to a different language, Nuria. Yes, that is something that appeals to me too. Yes. Thank you, Francesca. Thank you so much. So please, everyone, feel free to contact me. I have already taken down a few of your contacts as well. So I would really love for us to keep in touch and continue this conversation, which always enlightens me. So I wish you all a great day.